What is going on, everybody? It's your man, Big Jones, the Juggernaut, and welcome to the first episode of my podcast, Big Jones, Big Life, Unleashed. This is my podcast because I've got a lot of things to tell you. I've got a lot of stories to tell, so I thought the podcast platform would be the best medium for it. So what can I tell you? If you don't like it, there's plenty of other channels out there. So I want to get right into it. I want to start off by talking about why I'm being retired from the military. And I say retired, it feels a little more like kicked out, but it definitely is retired. I will get an honorable discharge, if I don't kill anybody between now and then. But I am on the road to being medically retired from the Navy. And it's a little heartbreaking. It's affected me a lot more than I thought it would. It's actually turning into a bit of a dramatic process here. But this first episode on Unleashed, I'm just going to explain to you guys what happened, how we got to where we are right now. So back in 2017, the entire year 2017, I was stationed in Guam. All my Guam butt buddies, if you're watching out there, half a day, love you guys. I'm stationed in Guam, and just take it from the top, I was working out at Paradise Fitness in Dededo, Guam. Actually a really nice gym for an island with not a whole lot of amenities on it. It was actually a really nice gym. I enjoyed working out there. So come back from a leg day working out at Paradise Fitness, and I just got this pain behind my left leg. It's kind of like a little lower than my knee and not quite as high as my ankle. It's like maybe that Achilles tendon area. So I'm thinking maybe I pulled a muscle or even twisted my knee and it's just hurting. I don't know. It's just some weird pain in my leg, So, but I'm an athlete, we get pains, we get aches, we get hurt, we get twisted ankles, shin splints, whatever, You suck it up, you deal with it. At least that's what I do, I don't run to the ER every time I get an ache or a pain or a cough or, chest pain, fever, chills, which is what we tend to see in the ER a lot. But anyway, I digress. But by the way, I do tend to digress a lot, so if you find me on a tangent, just, hit the little double tap to the right and get to the next part. So I am experiencing some leg pain in my left leg, and I throw some ice on it. It was a leg day. I probably maybe pulled a muscle or maybe a little tear or something like that. These things happen, suck it up, move on to the next day. So fast forward about a week later, I can barely walk on it. It is hurting, I don't even like to take like ibuprofen and stuff. So, but now I'm taking it. I'm taking whatever because the pain is almost unbearable and I got to get to the hospital and see patients. So I ended up being on clinic duty on Big Navy that week. So it's a small clinic. Everybody kind of knows me. I'm tough to miss. I'm a big dude. So I walk into the office in the morning and I'm like, hey guys, can somebody take a look at my knee this afternoon? It's starting to hurt. And they say, yeah, Big, no problem. So they take a look at it, and it's funny. The first thing the provider says, they take a look at it and say, well, it's definitely not a blood clot. That'll be funny in a few minutes. But I said it's not a blood clot. So I did the standard, what any provider would do. Get some x-rays, don't see anything, it's not broken, don't see anything crazy in there, just try to stay off it, rest, ice, compression, elevate, good old rice always works. I think they did a couple of blood tests, and that was it. They sent me on my way. So and like I say, I'm the kind of person that likes to sort of take care of aches and pains at home anyway. I don't like running to the hospital back and forth for little aches and pains. So that's what I did, and just the pain, it was up and it was down. Sometimes it hurt really, really bad, and sometimes not so bad. But it hurt bad enough that I ended up having to go get seen again. This time I think they sent me to a sports medicine type of person, and they told me I had compartment syndrome. I never really looked up what compartment syndrome is. If any of you guys smarter than me know what compartment syndrome is all about, put it in the comments, educate us all. But that's what they said they thought it might be. They said I needed to maybe go to physical therapy, which is usually stage 2 in the Navy. When you have an issue, it's usually x-rays, physical therapy. If it still hurts, then they go MRI, and the process just kind of continues from there. So I never did go see the physical therapist. It actually sort of cleared up on its own, which I was fine with. It's still kind of, it was funny because the whole time, we're talking about a month here. This was September, and right around October it sort of cleared up a little bit, at least to the point where I could run on it. Because that's the only thing. I could still lift legs. At the time, I was lifting pretty heavy on legs. I was doing heavy squats, leg press, but I couldn't run on it, which was strange, because that's what made me think it was maybe a muscle, because I couldn't run very well. But I don't know. It was very strange, but it's just sort of sorted out on its own. So, hey, cool, that's great, and get back to work. But I'm still having a tough time running, and this was the fall, and which is bad news, because what comes up in twice a year in fall, PFA. So the physical fitness test was coming up, and I knew I would need to run. That's what I tend to do, is I run them. Anyway, I squeak by the skin of my teeth on the physical fitness test, and I say, well, man, I really need to get this thing looked at, because I still can't run. But anyway, I can do everything else, so that's something. But it's starting to sort itself out. Like I say, I still can't run too well, but I end up having another issue. I ended up having an issue in my ribs, where I thought maybe I cracked a rib, and now I'm thinking, God, I'm just falling apart, man. What the hell's going on? It hurt to take a deep breath in, so I'm thinking, oh man, did I break a rib? Did I crack a rib? That's crazy. I didn't even know. It's like from one thing to another. Now I'm thinking, like, my God, I'm just falling apart. I'm an old man. I mean, I was like 35, 36 back then. And I'm like, dang, man, I thought I would at least make it to 40 before I fell apart, but I don't know. So that time I actually went to the emergency room, because I was really worried. I told them about what was happening before with my leg. They didn't think they were connected. I got an x-ray, and they said, oh, I think I have like some micro fractures in your rib cage, because like I said, I was lifting pretty heavy at the time, so it's not unfathomable that could be the case. So gave me some medicine, some lidoderm patches. Again, it cleared up on its own. So I'm having these issues, but I'm working through them. So that's good, right? Yeah. So that was like late October. Now, November, like end of November, beginning of December, and at this point I'm almost afraid to tell my wife, because it flares up again in my leg. The pain is just really bad in my leg, and I don't want to tell my wife about it, because God bless her, she's been hanging in there with me with this, and I don't want to worry her. We got young kids at the time. I think our kids were like 1 and 2 at the time, man. They were really young, so she's got enough on her plate without having to take care of me. So I go get seen again, and this time it's like, you really do have to be aggressive when it comes to your own health care, especially in the military, because they're so used to telling guys like me who work out every day, who take care of themselves, they're so used to telling us, oh, it's a sports injury, stop lifting so heavy. If you're a big guy, they'll tell you to stop lifting so heavy. If you're a runner, they'll tell you to cut it down. Whatever you do, they'll just tell you to stop, and it'll sort out, well, yeah, but we can't all afford to just stop training. I mean, we're in the military. We have to be in shape. So I get seen again, and like I said, I had to really advocate for myself. And the person I saw, I mean, this is a small hospital, so we all kind of know each other. So I'm saying, listen, buddy, you need to do something for me. I've got either an Achilles tendon tear or some kind of muscle strain or something bad, but you need to do something more than just an x-ray and some Motrin, man. I need help. Please help. So reluctantly, the provider finally puts in an MRI. I mean, I work in radiology, and that was the thing that was making me laugh. I'm like, I'm in radiology, and I'd asked for an MRI a couple of times leading up to this, and they wouldn't give me an MRI. I say, you don't need an MRI. Look, I work in radiology. Just give me the MRI. I'll just go right down the hall in my own department and get it done. Why is that a problem? But, reluctantly, this provider finally does agree to write me up for an MRI. And I take that and I go right across the way to one of my docs. Like I said, it's a small command. Guam is a really small command, despite being a really large hospital. Like the CEO at the time was a great guy, by the way. The CEO said, used to call us a family of 800, because military, civilian, ends up being about 800 people. So it sounds like a lot, but it really isn't, when you see the same people every day. But I take the request chit for an MRI right over to my radiologist, who I see every day, Dr. Graff, who is an awesome dude. He actually saved my life, because I take it over to Dr. Graff, and Dr. Graff says, it's kind of funny. Dr. Graff actually sounds a little bit like Doc Brown from Back to the Future, so I'll try to do my best Doc Brown impression when I tell his side of it. I take the MRI chit and I say, yo, Dr. Graff, you think you could read this MRI when I get it done. I finally got somebody to write me a chit for it. Yeah, what's going on with your damn leg? He's a salty doc, by the way, so he'll say what he feels like saying. I pull up my pant leg, and he sees it swollen, and he goes, That's not a damn Achilles tendon shit. It's a damn blood clot. Get your ass to the ER. And so I'm like, wait, what? ER? What the hell are you talking about, doc? And he's like, get to the ER right now. I'm writing you a request for an ultrasound. So get the ultrasound. I said, yeah, you got a blood clot in your leg, man. You got to get to the ER right now. And I'm like, this is like December. This whole thing started in September. So it's been months and months and months that I'm walking around with this in my leg. And again, I work in radiology, so everybody knows me, so they're going to give it to me straight. They told me that the blood clot in my leg was a, quote, widowmaker. Nobody wants to hear that. Trust me. Not fun. But anyway, so I get to the ER. They treat me up. I'm in the hospital 2 days, just in time to get off for leave for Christmas and New Year's, actually, so that was nice. But, just making that call to your wife when you're in the hospital for something serious like that, like, hey, babe, remember how I left this morning and everything was fine? Yeah, I'm in the ER right now, about to go in an ambulance, about to go get a bunch of procedures done. Like, wait, what? What? The fuck? So, yeah. So, like I said, 2 nights in the hospital, in the ICU. They took great care of me, but the condition, I don't know if it was the extent of the blood clot or just because I had a blood clot in general and they just don't discern between them. But they told me basically that they were going to have to evacuate me off of Guam because they didn't have the facilities to treat this if it should happen again. So after only being in Guam for a year, I had to pack up and go to Naval Medical Center San Diego, where I am right now, for LIMDU observation and treatment if necessary. For those of you who don't know, LIMDU stands for limited duty. Basically, they cut the time that you can work, and they make sure that it's for you to heal up, to make sure you have time to heal up so they can send you back out there and get you back to work. So that's what I did. 6 months in San Diego, my hometown, so it was cool. I was able to get treatment. The kids, everybody's comfortable. We're in base housing. My mom lives 6 blocks away, so it's not a bad situation. I did miss Guam. I had made some great friends there and great connections there. It was a great command. And, now I'm back in San Diego. I do my LIMDU. I end up being permanent party in San Diego. Well, I pushed for it. I wanted to stay in San Diego rather than be there for 6 months and then move. That I don't want to do that. So, especially when you got kids, and my son just started high school at the time. So, we wanted to stay, and fortunately we got to do that. Anyway, so that's October, November of 2018. Yeah, 2018. I'm trying to keep these dates straight. So anyway, fast forward about a year. I'm in the middle of my midlife crisis, and I've got my motorcycle and had my motorcycle accident. That's a whole thing. I'll put a link to the description if you want to watch the video about that. But I get into a motorcycle accident. I get off pretty easy. I just break one little bone in my left foot. What is it with the left side, man? It's crazy. But I break one bone in my left foot. I'm in a cast. Non-weight bearing for about 8 weeks. Heal up fine. But around 5 weeks, I take off my boot and I notice that my foot is still swollen. So now I'm concerned because all that time with the blood clot, my leg was swollen. So I'm just letting them know, hey, because blood clots can happen when you're sedentary. That's what happens. They can happen like that. So I let them know, hey, listen, I do have a history of blood clots. Do you think I could have a blood clot? And they say, oh, well, let's get you an ultrasound. And it turns out, yes, I did have a blood clot. But the thing is, and I don't understand if that was maybe the same blood clot or a different blood clot, because my leg the swelling never really went away completely. It was still swollen. It wouldn't stay swollen, but it would swell up from time to time and it would stay for a while. But anyway, I don't know, because I never got retested after my initial ultrasound. So I don't know if that was the same blood clot, some residual or not. I don't know. I'm not a doctor. But anyway, what did happen is that after they find out I have a blood clot, like I said, this whole thing happens November, December. So right around New Year's of 2020, actually, I get called into pulmonology, and they say, hey, listen, you're going to have to go on medboard. Like, medboard? What the hell? Why? Oh, because you've had 2 blood clots now, and you're probably going to have to be on medication for the rest of your life to treat this ailment. And I'm like, what ailment? What do I have? Like, what condition do I have? And they say, oh, well, you just clot more than other people. Okay, what's my diagnosis? Like, what is the name for this? What do you call it? Well, I mean, you have a condition that makes you clot more. Okay, what is it, doctor? You know, so I still to this day don't know what condition makes me clot, or why I have these blood clots, or if it's a thing, or if that was, or even if that was the same blood clot, because they only test me when there's a problem. I've only gotten an ultrasound when there's a problem. So I don't know. So I go up on medboard. They find me unfit for duty, which is probably the most demoralizing thing that you can hear. Not just demoralizing because I don't feel like I'm unfit for anything. I feel like I'm a good sailor. I feel like I'm a good member of my team, my department, my hospital. I know I do a good job, and yet I'm found unfit for duty. That is just a really, really crappy thing to hear. So anyway, what ends up happening is this is like through the 2020s. I'm found unfit. Well, of course I'm going to appeal it, but in the meantime, while you're going on medboard, man, you basically got to act like you're getting out. So you got to register with the VA, you've got to fill out all these forms, and man, it is just a clusterfuck from hell. And I wouldn't wish this on anybody. I mean, we all have to go through it. If you're in the military, eventually you do have to do all these things, but when you're doing it on medboard and you're basically being forced to do it, because I don't want to get out. I have enjoyed my time in the Navy. I have had plans to go way past where I am right now in the Navy. So it's definitely a kick in the balls. So I do not want to have to do any of this stuff, but it is what it is, and that's what I'm having to do. So, and the other thing that's really demoralizing about this whole thing is that this is now about a year and a half, a little over a year and a half, that I've been found unfit for duty, and I'm still working a full shift, doing my job, doing exactly what I was doing in the years and years before I was found unfit. So it's this really strange catch-22. It's like, well, I'm unfit for duty, yet I'm still on duty. I'm not on light duty. I'm not on limited duty. I'm not on restricted duty. I am serving as a full duty person, yet I am unfit for service. I don't understand how that works, but it's definitely kind of shitty, and I really wouldn't wish this on anybody, especially if you're a person who is going to be a lifer like me. I mean, if you ask me what the most frustrating thing about this whole thing is, I mean, forget the civilians who mean well but just don't have your best interests in mind all the time, or so it would seem. I mean, I'm sure they're good people, but they're just in a position that makes them sort of feel like the opposition. But excuse me, sorry. But the problem is that you're going to work every day, and they want you to put out 110% like you have in the years leading up to that. I'm still going to come in on Monday morning to work and serve as an unfit person, I guess. So that's the way it goes. I've got a couple other things in the pipeline also. I'm trying to at least stay till my PRD, or projected rotation date, basically the end of my tour, which would be in November of 2022, so a little over a year from now. So hopefully that pans out. But if not, I've got prospects out there. I've got job offers. I've got school. I've already been accepted to a college for nursing. I've got a lot of things in the pipeline, but the Navy was my first love, and I definitely found a niche in the Navy. I definitely found something that I was good at. I didn't even know that I was going to be good in medicine. I mean, it was, when I signed up for the Navy, it was the best of 3 ratings that they offered me. So I love being in the Navy. I love serving my country, and I love doing what I do. I love putting on the uniform every day. But if they say I can't, then I can't. And I know there's going to be more out there, but it definitely is a kick in the nuts. So that's my story. That's why I'm on medboard. That's why I'm getting retired. There's still some time, so I guess we'll see what happens. Did you guys enjoy that? Good. Check me out on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. I'll see you guys real soon. Big Jones Unleashed.